What's something men do that comes across as creepy? Story 1. I'm a guy but a semi-frequent bar patron. Whenever guys ask bartenders what time they get off that they've had little to no interaction with is incredibly creepy. Gives off, "I'll be waiting for you in the parking lot" vibes. Reply. When I was around 20 or 21, I was working as a barista. We had floor-to-ceiling windows on one side of our cafe in a busy area. Some guy, maybe mid-30s, was walking by outside and it looked like he was coming into our store. We locked eyes, so I offered a half-hearted customer service smile as one does. He turned the corner to the front of our store, blocked partially by a brick wall, no windows, but never came inside. I didn't think much of it and just continued on with my day. About 3 to 4 hours later, my shift was over. I walked outside to the parking lot and I hear a, "Finally. You're off work." I turn around, expecting to see a coworker or maybe a regular customer I was friends with or something. Nope. It was the guy the first locked eyes with for 0.5 seconds several hours earlier. He was sitting at a table on our patio, but was blocked by the brick wall so I couldn't see him through the windows from inside the store. I was really startled and didn't know what to say. He then proceeded to tell me that he saw me smile at him through the window, so decided to wait outside of my work for several hours so he could talk to me. I mean, it would be one thing to come into the store, but a coffee, and try to talk to me, although I still wouldn't appreciate that while at work. But this man waited outside of my work for several hours. I was so creeped out and made an excuse like, "Oh, actually I'm just adjusting the umbrellas on the patio. I still have work." And then I went straight back inside into the back where I waited for a full hour until my coworkers confirmed he was gone. I was so scared and had male coworkers walk me to my car for like a week. Story 2. Sit next to you when you're the only two people in a place with many, many seats. Reply. If you go to Japan, you can experience the opposite effect, where the last 2 seats on the train to be filled will be the ones next to you. Reply 2. In Korea, people will mash themselves into a densely packed sardine cube rather than sit next to a black person on a subway. My friend told me, my reflex is to be offended, but I love having the space. Story 3. Hey, where do you work? Oh, which one? Yeah, there's like 6 of them. Which one do you work at? No, I won't show up at your work, lol, ha ha ha. Hey, did you block me? What did I do wrong? Reply. Worse is when you have one follow you to work. I had to ask a male coworker to pretend to be my partner to get this creep to go away. Story 4. When men ask, "Where's my hug?" Reply. I'm a guy. My wife has a bar acquaintance. I don't like her. Wherever we see her at the bar, she comes up to me and asks for a hug. I always say no and she gets offended and bitches to everyone that I won't hug her. It is the most uncomfortable and awkward thing I have ever experienced. Story 5. Stand an inch away from you when you're in a line. Reply. Shit. Anyone doing that is creepy. Story 6. Speaking as a 5 feet 2 inches, 1.57, woman, guys you barely know or even total strangers lifting you up off the ground to hug you. Reply. Or when they constantly make comments about how light you look, small plus short you are. I can toss you around, I bet. Ew. Story 7. When I was 19, I was a phone girl at a local pizza place. I would answer the phone and take people's orders for carry-out or delivery. One time this guy called and said he was placing an order for delivery. By the end of the order he changed his mind and said he wanted to order carry-out. The dude shows up and my coworker helps him and he says, "You're not the girl I talked to on the phone." I want to talk to that girl. I realize he's talking about me and I ask what's wrong. He then tells me he thinks I have a really soothing voice and should do ASMR. I was like, okay, that's weird but relatively harmless. The guy gets his food then leaves. We can see him sitting in his car for like 15 minutes. Then he came back in the store with a map and started asking me a bunch of weird questions for directions to somewhere. I said, "Why can't you just use Google Maps?" I see you have an iPhone, and point to his phone. Then as I point, I see him try to hide the screen. He had the audio recorder pulled up. This weirdo came back in the store with a thinly veiled excuse of asking for directions because he was trying to record my voice. It was so creepy. I told him, "Wait 1 second," and went to the back and told some coworkers what was going on. A friend of mine who worked in the kitchen, a 6'2" musclehead, walked out and was like, "I am great with directions. My girlfriend is terrible at them," while gesturing to me. "Let me help you." Suddenly the guy didn't need directions anymore. So yeah, I'm going to say whatever that was creepy. Story 8. For the last few years, I've been in the habit of walking up behind women in the office, massaging their shoulders, and whispering in their ears, "Daddy's home." Inappropriate? Conan O'Brien reply. Not related to this thread necessarily, but I had a female coworker, I'm a guy, walk up behind me while I was sitting down, proceed to start massaging my shoulders and rubbing her hands across my chest. All while making sounds. Was a brief encounter but probably the most awkward 30 seconds of my life. Story 9. Ask you out while you are at work or a situation in which you cannot leave. Reply. Or if you are a bartender or waitress and they will only tip you if you talk to them or give out your number. Like, no, you can keep your tip. I am working, I'm not here to keep you company. You can go find an escort if you want paid company. Story 10. Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. I'm very insecure about being creepy. I don't really have a great grasp of social situations because I'm autistic and I don't interact with people I don't know very often, and I don't know how other people are going to perceive the things I say. But these comments make me feel a lot better because it wouldn't occur to me to do any of these things, and I feel visceral disgust towards most of them, which actually makes me think maybe I do actually intuitively know how not to be creepy and I just completely lack self-confidence. Reply. I found that a lot of PPL on the spectrum may come off as slightly awkward rather than actually creepy in social misunderstandings. Don't worry, smiley face. Story 11. Telling you to smile. Reply. You'd look prettier if you wore Lightning McQueen light-up Skechers. Story 12. Not backing off when a woman indicates in any way whatsoever, verbally or physically, she isn't interested, yet they continue or think they can continue to harass you or change your mind. Reply. I genuinely have zero idea how there are guys out there with this much confidence. If I make anything that could even be considered as a move, and I get rejected, then I am getting as far away from that situation as I possibly can immediately and cringing about it in the shower or morning commute for years to come. Story 13. Me. I'm married. Shows ring. Random guy. I don't believe you. They all say that. Then it just gets creepy because no matter what you say they just don't believe anything and keep pressing you to leave with them. That hyper-aggressiveness is creepy. Reply. I had a guy respond to, "I'm married," with, "Oh yeah? Where's your husband then?" As if married women are chaperoned by their husbands on every errand. Story 14. Talk to me, a male, about how much they disrespect women like I'm in on it. Especially if I've never met the guy. Story 15. I, 31, female, was walking up the stairs at a train station carrying a large suitcase the other day. A guy wanted to help and just took my suitcase from me without asking. I had to tell him 3 times I was okay and didn't need his help. The suitcase wasn't particularly heavy, just big. Don't just grab other people's stuff without asking. I know he just wanted to help, but still. Reply. People in general, when they try to help, often forget to ask. They think, I'm doing a good deed, so they won't mind, and stop thinking there. Story 16. Mumble something quietly under their breath while you walk by, like, "Wow, you're so beautiful." Jesus, if you're going to compliment a stranger, could you at least not try to come across as a serial killer? Reply. Either is a serial killer or has almost zero confidence. Story 17. I have a coworker. I had never met him, officially, before we started working at the same place 2 years ago. He gave me a weird vibe from the get-go, but I just avoided him as much as I could, which was easy cause we don't have the same job at our facility. After a while he starts talking about two brothers that I do know, and how he was friends with one of them. Okay, fine. A little creepy, you know, I knew them too. Then he asks when I moved from X address where I lived with my ex. I shut that down, and straight out said that was a creepy comment that made me uncomfortable. I now avoid him even more at work, but a few months pass and he starts asking how long I lived at Y address, and that it was then I was hanging out with specific group of people. I told him how TF he knew about two past addresses and who my friends were, since I never met him before. Oh, he and that one brother sometimes talk about me. I have not spoken to either of those two brothers for 5 years. That shit is creepy as hell. Hey, stop. You're pretty cool. Subscribe for more. Yo.